If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, 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 pretty morning wood. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you and I need you, morning wood. I love you, morning wood.
Rise and shine. Happy Devil's Wednesday. This is the Morning Woo. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker. Undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. The Christmas break has arrived, and has arrived at a great time for the New Jersey Devils. And I'll tell you why in a sec. Happy Devil's Wednesday to you, Select a Boy, Metalander, saying, this is bad, Sam. We don't have the scoring power to outscore our own goaltender. Jacob Markstrom messing up a little bit yesterday, giving up a freebie goal, trying to clear the puck. More on that in a second. Happy Devil's Wednesday to you, Maria. Morning all, no Christmas, nothing. We're all down. I think we're all down. The Morning Woo Christmas Eve edition, Selected Boy says, Randolph Redbeard, yeah, I think we already know why. LOL. Well, you know, I always said last season was quite different. The Devils were hot. They were one of the hottest teams in December. And they had a punctuation of a victory, I believe against the New York Rangers on December 23rd at home. You know that 1 p.m. game that I was just bitching about? Why would you put a 1 p.m. game on a December 23rd? See, last night on Long Island, December 23rd, it was a 7 p.m. game. But Devils are not hot right now. 7 goals scored in the last 5 games. I get it. Guys are coming back. Takes a little time. I get it. But the offense is anemic. They're getting their shots on goal. But again, I think they're just like last night towards the end there when they were down 2-1 with a minute 11 seconds left. That's the time where you gotta just put the puck on net and crash the net. Instead, it was just like, oh, I'll pass to you. I'll pass to you. Pass. I get it that you need to set up the play, but I'm telling you, putting the puck on net, if it gets blocked, you better have somebody there for the rebound to get that puck. Ted says Devils are a mess. Selected Boy says it was against the New York Rangers. Yes, it was. Yeah, I mean, at 1 p.m. last year, like, it still bothers me to this day. It still bothers me that we had a 1 p.m. game against the New York Rangers on December 20th. That should be a 7 o'clock game. How come ESPN didn't mess it up this year Don't know. 3-7 in December, says Selecta Boy. The only goal last night, Metalander said, came from defensive-minded defensemen. Wimpy says, need to create some chaos in the ozone. Yeah. I mean, they had some spurts where they were freaking awesome, but couldn't finish. Good morning, Jim Norton in the Facebook Live. Happy Devil's Wednesday to you. Instagram. See Lisa. See United Flyer 26 joining in on the Instagram Live. But you know what? Maybe the opposite's going to happen, where the Devils will come out of the break trying to get on a heater. And it starts against the Washington Capitals on the 27th at home at the Rock. Then you've got Toronto next week, back-to-back games. Toronto on the 30th. And then on the 31st, time to drop the gloves against the Columbus Blue Jackets in Ohio, in Columbus. You remember, beginning of the month, that the Columbus Blue Jackets and the New Jersey Devils at the Rock, it got really chippy there. Really chippy there. Some bad officiating as well in that game, I remember. And I remember sitting in section 15 for the first time, hearing the lady behind me yell, Luke Hughes, you're not worth $9 million. Isn't that annoying? I think I'm annoying our own podcast listeners. Just literally repeating what she says all game. $9 million. By the way, drawing for the Powerball is tonight. I hope I win. I hope I secretly win. I wouldn't tell Mrs. Wu. She's just going to have to find out on our tax returns, that I won $1.7 billion. Anyway, just jokes. Everybody play the Powerball. Wimpy says, I'm subscribed to your channel, Jim Norton. Is it that Jim Norton? The comedian? I heard him and Anthony have started their own podcast. The Opie's no longer involved. Let's see here. Randolph Redbeard, I appreciate the Devils podcast being more optimistic than the Locked On Devils. I don't know the new guy at all. Again, I don't think we're a positive podcast, because I think Devils fans tend to be, especially online, negative. I think we're just more of a hopeful podcast, not a optimistic podcast or a pessimistic podcast. I mean, I could be negative. I mean, this ownership group, I've been on record saying this ownership group they don't know how to win. They don't understand sports. They understand how to make money. They understand how to use analytics, evaluating players where they get their best ROI to make money, but they don't understand how to win. It takes money to win. It really does. And in some cases, it doesn't. In some cases, it's really, you can't buy team chemistry. And right now, the Devils don't really have that team chemistry going on right now. It just seems like they're playing like individual players. They're not gelling. Maybe it's because all the guys have been out with injuries. But how do we get to that 8-1 team? Well, the 8-1 team earlier in the season was well rested. Now, with this condensed scheduling, you could see, like, the Devils, their flaws. Jack Hughes, you know what? Jack Hughes didn't score last night. You can't expect Jack Hughes to cover up everybody's mistakes, especially Markey's last night, which, aside from that, I thought Markstrom played really well last night. Selected Boy says, yeah, well, the ownership group doesn't give you much confidence in winning championships because they don't know how. They literally don't know how. And I remember when they bought the Commanders, Joshua Harris, and I believe, again, I wish I had that article, but there was one investor who's like, I'm not investing with this group. They talk a big game, and they think that they know what they're doing, but they don't. And look at the Washington Commanders. I mean, Jaden Daniels is the next RG3, unfortunately. They may get their new stadium, but still, show us the championships. You're telling me that with all the first-round draft picks you had, I mean, they drafted Ben Simmons. Eventually, they traded him. Ben Simmons of the 76ers. First overall pick. Okay, the guy, they eventually traded him to the Brooklyn Nets because the Brooklyn Nets had problems with James Harden. And then the Brooklyn Nets are stuck with a $177 million contract with Ben Simmons, who's now apparently, I don't know, he basically doesn't like to work. So apparently he's fishing right now on a $177 million contract. Yeah, that's who the Philadelphia 76ers drafted. But to their credit, they traded him, but they got a guy named James Harden back. And James Harden, being the perennial all-star he is, he left unamused, basically saying that the Philadelphia 76ers president was a liar and that he left. I mean, if you look at like the track record of Harris Blitz Sports Entertainment, you want to talk about negativity. They suck. They don't win. You know, we've had some good moments. You know, when the Devils beat the Rangers. But that was fool's gold because this team is not that good, as we thought. We thought we turned the corner. I thought I was wrong about the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment team. I thought maybe they knew how to win. It just took time. But it was just a mirage. Unfortunately. And now they got a great coach in Sheldon Keefe. It's the same old crap. It's the same old crap. It's like it's scripted. And you know, it could have been worse. I mean, could you imagine if the Devils had signed Taylor Hall to an 8-year monster deal? And that albatross of a contract that might have happened? That's where they got lucky there. Sometimes I'd rather be lucky than good. But yeah, you know, but you know what? The break has happened. You know, hopefully Jack and Tate, you know, their relationship blossoms. Hopefully it doesn't affect the team. I don't think it would. I think Jack is focused as a player for the most part. Ownership spread too thin. We're just part of a portfolio, says Maria. Oh yeah. This is completely here. Let me do a little rich talk for you. The Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment bought a distressed asset called the New Jersey Devils, where the previous owner had a little issue with paying the bills, nearly bankrupted the team because, his golden parachute out of Lehman Brothers failed because the government didn't bail Lehman Brothers out, so he had no golden parachute. On top of everything else, he moved the team during the height of the housing bubble, and by the time the team moved to Newark, the bubble just burst, and he had huge balloon payments to make, which he couldn't make. So we bought a distressed asset for $330 million, which also included the arena. That was a value-added proposition to the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment portfolio. Was that some good hedge fund talk? Wimpy says, I gave ownership a chance more than most Devils fans. Now I'm in the same boat with you. Yeah, it was nice that they rescued the team and all that, but you know what? It really, again, this is what hedge funds do. And that's what's going on with the New York Mets right now. Like, and I'll use this example because I believe, let me look it up real quick. Because, again, sometimes my memory is off. Let's see here. I tell the story about Twinkie. Twinkie ownership. Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Right now it's owned by J.M. Smucker Company. But let's see here. I believe. Hold on a sec here. Let me get back here. I tell this story all the time. I just yep. All right. So back in the day, Twinkie, the Twinkies, I don't know, it's not candy, it's a snack that's sold in every convenience store imaginable. It's a great snack. Well, Apollo Global bought Twinkie in 2012, around that time. All right. Because there was a problem with the confectioners union and the previous company. They couldn't come to an agreement, so they went to bankruptcy, and that was a distressed asset. So Apollo Global came in and they bought it. But what they did was they hollowed it out, just like any other private equity firm. They hollowed it out. They took the soul of Twinkie. And, of course, they know how to make money, and I will never criticize anybody that makes money, okay, because I like to make money. And then they put Twinkie back out there. We're profitable. But have you ever eaten the Twinkie? It's not the same Twinkie. It's not the same company. But it says Twinkie. That's what happened to the New Jersey Devils. They are bankrupt. And no fault to Jeff Vanderbeek, by the way. Jeff Vanderbeek, he was a true fan. He bought the team, after the Yank Nets didn't work out. He courageously got the financing to move the team from the Meadowlands to Newark. He took advantage of the new MSG deal, which fronted the money to pay for the new arena. The problem was the economic times. It was the height of the housing bubble. On top of everything else, the Lehman Brothers. Had Lehman Brothers been bailed out by the federal government, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, the federal government didn't bail him out. So, all of his parachute money went to nothing. And I'm just stating facts here. I'm not advocating anything because I know people, that's not right. But, had he been with Citigroup, he might be still the same owner. I don't know. But long story short, the Devils were bankrupt. Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment comes in. And you know what the first thing they did opening night as the new owners that season in 2013, season? Do you know what the first thing they did? They took away the old goal song without telling anybody, and they replaced it with Bon Jovi, "This Is Our House." And I wish, and Durango Steve and I wish we had a video camera at the time rolling, one of our camera phones rolling at the time, because you should have seen the faces of the fans expecting their goal song, but instead you saw the faces of WTF ? And people booing. That was our introduction to Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. Now, to the credit of the New Jersey Devils, they admitted that they were wrong. They kind of blew that one. They had to, because you're the new owner, and suddenly you're changing the culture and soul of the New Jersey Devils, and then, a year later, Lou Lamoriello is gone. Lou is gone. You allowed him to go to Toronto when Brendan Shanahan called for tampering purposes to be compliant to poach Lou out of New Jersey because he probably knew that Lou was miserable, that was forced to hire Ray Shero. And the Devil's identity, I think that's the problem. It's a culture thing. We talk about all the problems that the Devils had. I think it goes deeper than Tom Fitzgerald. I think the whole culture sucks. Because it's the same thing had been going on with the Flyers, Comcast corporate, or whatever it is now, owns it. It's not Ed Snyder. He passed away. Family sold it to the big conglomerate. Then it got really corporate. And you know me and corporate don't mix because I find corporate bunch of phonies. Everybody's a bunch of phonies. Just like if you look at Madison Square Garden, okay, the true Ranger fans, the ones that actually watch hockey are actually upstairs on the 400 level. Everybody else is kissing their boss's ass. I've said that many times. I'm one of them. I used to go to Madison Square Garden when I used to work in the city, all buttoned up with my tie and, my dress shirt, buying martinis, putting on the credit card. I'm like, holy crap. But I'm kissing ass and watching the Rangers lose, which was kind of fun, but at the same time, you can't really be a jerk because you're there to kiss your boss's ass, who happens to be a New York Rangers fan and a dumbass at the same time. I think we've all been there, if you know what I mean. Seeing some of the comments, Dag for Hanson, this is Fat Kids Talk. I'm the host, Woo. Hey, you know what? I am proud. I'm not doing any of that Wegovy crap or Ozempic. I refuse, okay? I'm proud of my body. If I happen to be fat, so be it. We talk about, tolerance and, being accepting. You should accept that I'm fat and I like food and I like chicken wings. Formal Woo, business casual Woo. Martinis at MSG, LOL. Well, it's actually usually at the steakhouse beforehand, before you go, and then you go to MSG. And those steakhouses are pretty pricey, let me tell you. But you had to kiss your boss's ass. That was the only way to get out. You see, that's the problem with corporate. The ones that get out, that always gets the positions. All the dumbasses that get all the great jobs are the ones that are the biggest ass kissers, if you ask me. I like to be, I like to think that, I got the job on merit, but no. I mean, it's all about whose ass you're going to kiss. That's why I'm out of corporate. Someone asked me the other day, you wear a devil's hat where you work? Yeah. Because I work for a guy that's not corporate. He's just like me. That's why I wear a devil's hat at work, because I feel like it. And if you got a problem with it, too bad, so sad. Be happy and die happy, says Wimpy. Beachmaster says, did the Prudential Center ever take public tax incentives? If I'm not mistaken, it's a very sweetheart lease deal that the Devils have where they pay, technically the arena, I'm talking technically arena, is owned by the city of Newark, Prudential Center, technically. But the Devils pay a fee, let's just say a flat fee of $2 million a year to be there. So they don't have to pay property tax and all that because they technically don't own it. But they have, let's just say, 100% control and 100% revenue of what goes inside. If I'm not mistaken, obviously there's probably taxes involved that's like embedded in the cost of your, cost of goods sold at the arena. I'm assuming, but again, I haven't read up on that in a while. So that's why it's pretty much a sweetheart deal, because I think the Devils, I believe, is the ninth most visited, the Prudential Center's ninth most visited venue of all the venues in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe it's probably the most profitable. Their revenues, I think their revenues back when Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment bought it was like around, but it was kind of skewed because there was a lockout year. Yeah, but I would say like around 110, 140 million a year at Prudential Center. Now I think it's like up at maybe 300 to 400 million a year in revenue, which is basically 2.5 times 10 years ago. So it's more than kind of paid itself off, because basically they were just buying a distressed asset debt. But again, I have to read up on this stuff because I don't quite remember. But, you know, and Vanderbeek, you know, poor guy, he couldn't get events at the Prudential Center because a lot of it, he didn't have the capital to bring the, you know, the good musicians in or whatever. Remember that they had something with, it was before Live Nation, it was AEG or something like that they had exclusivity, and that deal really blew up in their faces because it was an exclusivity deal. So they couldn't really have the great concerts and all that at Prudential at one point. But once, I mean, to Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment credit, I mean, they've got the dough to finance, you know, a lot of these events, and then obviously get paid on it as well. So the Rock needs an upgrade, new seats. Xfinity Mobile Arena looks brand new in comparison to the Rock, says Wimpy. Yeah, I agree. You know, I think they need to do a better job cleaning the arena, if you ask me. You know, they need a good cleaning lady at the Rock. Does anybody know one? And make sure that you pay your cleaning lady good money as well. Because, you know, again, cleanliness is everything. Tom says, gotta go. Merry Christmas to you all. Wow, we're almost a half an hour in on this morning woo. Dubs is like, Brian, the issue is the owners still let Fitzgerald spend to the cap. It's Fitzgerald's roster. He has to own it. I understand being against ownership if they didn't spend. Yeah, but at the same time, you got to hold Tom Fitzgerald accountable. Again, it all starts with the ownership. If you don't hold anybody accountable from the top, how do you expect the top to hold anybody accountable to the bottom? You know, it starts from the top. You know, so again, it's the culture, in my opinion, that's the problem. Because what's the goal here? Is it to win a championship, or is it to maximize your revenue? You ask me. I mean, I love to see the mission statement of Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. For me, it should be one word: win. That should be the mission statement, not this complicated, that corporate talk to bridge the community together for a winning franchise of blah 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 blah. You know, whatever. You know, these phony mission statements. Like, it should be really one word: win. All right, win. That's the mission statement. So every employee has to follow that mission statement. Win. What does winning mean? Well, you got to have your best ticket rep ready to go to provide customer service, because you need the fans there to cheer them on. Fans there cheer them on. The players play better. Players play better. You win. You know, I try to simplify it into, Forrest Gump terms. Anyway, gotta go. I got lots to do today. I do not think that there will be a State of the Fan address today. It is Christmas Eve, folks. But we'll see. But there will be a morning woo on Christmas Day. I can assure you that. 81 straight days of this fine programming called the Morning Woo. Some say that it couldn't be done. I didn't know how to do it. So, for the ceremonial sip, my message to you, like it has been with the New Jersey Devils, don't think, just do. Yeah, that felt good. Stocking stuffer woo, says Daddy. Beachmaster says, how much of this team culture is a product of being in Newark? That's a good point. I don't know. You know, remember when Cory Booker, former Newark mayor, now senator in New Jersey, called Jeff Vanderbeek a huckster? Like, you know, that's never good. That's never good. But I think the city and the Devils and Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment, I think they have a good relationship. They kiss each other's asses. These are the corporate politicians. Yeah, we're doing a Christmas woo, I guess. Ted. Thou shalt not partake of blue cheese. I'm not a blue cheese guy, but Scotty had me making these wingies the other day, but they were actually pretty good. You want me to dress like Santa tomorrow? Ted, jeez. Should be dressing like Mickey Mouse, just the way this team is playing. Yeah, happy Devils. Merry Christmas Eve to you all. Thank you, Maria. All right, we're out of here. Till next time, this is the Morning Woo. Let's go, Devils.